left, right.
Hey, what's up, my SipTalk friends? Thank you for joining us for this last episode of 2020. It's been a crazy year. It's our first full year in production, SipTalk. I wanted to say a big thank you to you guys for all your support, all the likes, the comments, all the ideas for the new podcast episodes. I am going to ask for a favor. And again, I am super grateful for all of you guys who subscribe and interact with the podcast on social media, on YouTube, on the audio podcasts. But I'm going to ask for a favor. I'm going to ask that if you have topics in mind, things you want to hear about, questions you have for us, that you send them my way. You can email me, you can DM me. But I want to know your topic ideas so we can get some cool topics for 2021. And the last ask is just that you share this podcast. And if you haven't already, you like and subscribe. We need that to continue to grow, and we're having fun doing this, but we're really doing this for you and with you. This is a collaborative effort, so thank you very much. Happy New Year, and looking forward to another year of continued podcasting. See you later. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, it's good.
Cheers.
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 I'm here today with James the Boswell, professional referee, professional accountant, bartender, and philosopher. My name is Justin DiGiulio. I own and manage a real estate brokerage in Midtown Manhattan, and this is episode 64 of Sip Talk. Today we're going to be talking about living with roommates. We're going to be talking about bad roommates, how to be a good roommate, and we're going to share some kind of horror stories about roommates.
This was a topic suggested by one of our listeners, right?
This was a listener suggested topic. So you guys know I do read all the comments. I try to get back to them as quickly as I can. If you're watching live, I will be hitting the comments. And obviously,
give a shout out to the user.
I missed it and I couldn't find it going back. The comments have already started about your messy room. So if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, you are severely missing out. But
when it comes to the messy room, as I've said before, like somebody said that they wanted to clean it, my offer is I will pay for your flight to come down here. But I'm also not inclined to clean my room too much because I'm going to be moving in a couple of months, in which case I'm going to be blowing it up anyways.
Fair enough. All right. So my drink's a little simpler. I got them pre-chilled here. I am drinking tonight, and I'd love to hear about your drink, but let me share with you.
It looks like a Beta.
No, it looks like a Beta. This is the Omegang Brewery. It's the Rare Voss.
Oh, Omegang is so good.
I've
actually been to that brewery.
No, I have not. I'd like to go.
Outside of Cooperstown, not too far from you. Make the trip. It's worth it.
Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I put a lot of attention into what's on the screen here. I obviously can't control yours. 950 miles away or so. We got the fireplace going. I'm doing my best here. But James, so we know why your background looks like that. In the meantime, what are you drinking? Because this is really cool what you're drinking.
So I call this the Advanced Mojo. So we've talked about the Kali Mojo before, which is just going to be equal parts red wine and Coke. I found myself a good bottle of red wine for a whopping $5 a bottle. And I decided to make it a little bit fancier by adding just a little bit of lemon juice and some triple sec to get some citrus and sweetness into it. And it is so good. The lemon juice gives this like nice brightness to the drink, and then the triple sec smooths it out a little bit. So yeah, I call that the Advanced Mojo.
So Kale Mojo, give us the ingredients of what you're drinking right now.
So basic Mojo ingredients is just equal parts red wine and Coke.
Okay, and you have red wine.
I added a splash of lemon juice and then maybe a quarter of an ounce, a half ounce of triple sec in a large cup, by the way. So
yeah, that's a lot of wine. We'll see if you're sleepy by the end of this. So I made a list of bad roommate habits. I'm going to ask the live viewers to share with me what, if you can get a short story in there about a bad roommate, I'd love to hear it, love to share it. But I want to know what you think are some, habits of bad roommates.
I came up with a really short list that I like to call the 3 C's.
Okay, go for it.
Cleanliness, consideration, and compensation. So cleanliness, pretty simple. Consideration is just going to be, are they a considerate roommate? Are they blasting music at 3 a.m.? Are they bringing shady people around? Are they not? Are they like damaging your stuff, stealing your stuff? And then compensation is, are they paying the rent on time?
Fair enough. I think that hits a couple of the ones I have here. But you hit the number one complaint that I got. I asked yesterday. I put a post out asking for habits of bad roommates. The number one was messiness, and I think you think, and that's also part of consideration when you're living with someone else. It's not your space. So just like, when you go to I guess a lot of people are bad at this. When you go to the food court and you eat food, you clean up the table after you. And if you spilled some shit all over the table, you wipe it off. That's consideration, and that's cleanliness. It's not your, if you have your own space, it's yours to leave like that. But it's the ownership is not 100% yours. So you have to treat it like, with respect. But really, mess, I got dishes left in the sink, dishes left on the kitchen counters, and dishes not returned, dirty dishes not returned to the kitchen. Especially if you're not the person that owns those dishes. If you went out and you dropped 50 or 100 or $200 on plates or a plate set or forks and knives, and you're missing plates, like that shit's gonna drive you nuts. And if you're not, it's still considered to return plates to the freaking kitchen, clean them up, and put them where they need to be. So I got dishes, I have laundry, and then I have general cleanliness to common areas. So bathrooms, obviously kitchen, living room. Like if somebody wants to take their laundry out to the living room and start folding on the sofa, when you're done folding, and I don't mean you've completed the entire project. I mean, done folding for that moment. So if the project is intended to last 2 days, when you're done finishing in that moment, you need to take that with you and remove it from the common areas.
Yeah, and it's one thing to like your own bedroom or whatever, because assumedly your roommates aren't going to be coming into your bedroom too often, but you got to keep don't be in the way of other people in the common areas. And that means that if your stuff is clogging up the flow lines, or you're not cleaning up after yourself after you use common things like utensils or whatever, you're just being a shitty roommate. And if there's common bathrooms or whatever, then yeah, like you need to clean up after yourself in the bathroom and do your best to make sure that like the bathroom's pleasant for everybody to use.
But same thing, if you have laundry in the apartment, you can't leave your shit in the dryer for 2 days. When that's done, it's got to come out, and if you're not going to be there for a day or two and you do a load of laundry, don't expect to be sitting there in the dryer when you're done. It's going to, at the best, it may be, in a pile on the floor in your room, but it may just be in a pile on the floor next to the washer, or depending on how long you've left it there, it could be in garbage, because somebody may get fed up, especially if you're a repeat offender. Somebody might get fed up and just say, fuck this, and throw your shit away. All right, the next one I got is noise. And that goes to playing music, especially if you're having a party, you have people over playing loud music. But even if you're just in your room and you're playing music or you're playing a movie, sound carries. And you're not living in a house, where you don't have next door neighbors. Or where you have distant neighbors. Sound can travel through a door very easily, especially if the place isn't carpeted. So that goes for music and movies, and it also goes for sex. Like sex can be a lousy, a loud. Sex can be lousy.
What your experiences are like. But
sex can be lousy, but sex can be loud. It can be noisy. I think loud and noisy is what got me to lose it. But you see,
and that one especially, it just makes it awkward for anybody that can hear it too.
Yeah, it's not a personal privacy thing. It's a not making the person in the other room uncomfortable. That's
Yeah. Like one thing, so I just gotta bitch about this one. So what, talking about noise and everything. So most of the time during the week, I have to go to bed. Well, I would call it early, by like between 12 and 12:30 to be up for work the next day. And my roommate usually works evening, so he's not going to bed until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which I don't care. But what he likes to do is he'll have his iPad, which he watches constantly, and you can't see it from this camera, but the door to my room is right there, about 5 feet extended from my arm. And what he likes to do is he'll sit out in the living room in front of the TV or whatever, watching his iPad. Then if he gets up to go outside to have a smoke or make something in the kitchen or whatever, the route takes him right in front of my door. So he'll be walking around with his iPad listening to whatever shows or bullshit that he's listening to. And it's one thing if the noise is like 20 feet farther away, but the human brain is attuned to wake up to moving noise. You can get used to just about any noise if it's not moving. But when he moves past my door, it doesn't matter what time of night it is. I'll wake up because my mind's like, oh, something's moving out there. We should look into that.
yeah, but that's
And I don't know how many times I've told him, like, dude, I don't care if you're up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Cut the noise down when you know I'm asleep, and don't move while making noise.
take a break from the iPad for a minute, and you can leave it.
Just hit pause. Hit pause while you walk around.
Or put on some headphones. Headphones will save your roommate relationships big time, especially now that people aren't watching shit on TV.
Headphones are, yeah, a godsend.
So let's see. All right, let me just. I want to hit.
I would also just say, like, even if you're being quiet, if you're bringing sketchy people into the apartment,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
okay.
Got a couple more. Let me just hit the comments real quick. One of the comments from Lisa said you should have gotten him some wireless headphones for Christmas. Let's see. Shout out to Matt. We got Matt, Desmond, Debbie here. Let's see. Trying to go quick here, guys. Sorry. Tori, Zach Young. Let's see. But I'm missing other comments. One comment that you should have gotten him some headphones, though. That was a good one.
So, you know what? I'm actually going to probably buy myself a new pair of headphones, and I've got a pair of Bluetooth wireless headphones that are noise canceling. I'm just thinking about getting an upgrade. So I might just give him my old pair and say, here, learn how these work.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Jess saying, roommate life is not for me. I'm a control freak and need privacy. Well, sometimes you need to have a roommate to find a place. Sometimes you can't afford, especially in New York City. Lots of comments actually on all the platforms here about the headphones. Definitely need headphones, and that's something that that when you're meeting potential roommates, that's something to bring up. You should set some ground rules, and you should be as much akin to writing the Constitution as possible. Like you want to kind of foresee any potential issues that might be down the line. How many roommates have you had in that apartment?
All right, let's see. Starting with you. You were one.
A rough estimate. Let's
go with 5.
Yeah, I've probably lived with roughly about that amount over my years through South Carolina and in New York City. But New York City, the max I've lived in was a 2-bedroom. But I see people in 4 and 5 bedrooms, and I train all of my agents. Look, you have to stay in touch with your clients, because if it's a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment and these are strangers from all over the place, these guys are going to hate each other. They're going to hate each other's guts in 8 or 9 months. So there's a really good chance people will be moving around a year. So stay in touch with your people. Let them know you're there for them if they want to move. Maybe help them advertise for sublet if needed, things like that. All right, so I want to get on to the next one. We're going to get into guests in one more.
Okay.
But I was trying to kind of go by what I saw most commonly mentioned. And there was a few that were just mentioned once. But a big one was smell. And smell goes anywhere from cooking, so cooking smelly food. And it also goes to bathrooms.
Or just personal hygiene.
Well, yes, personal hygiene. And that extends into the bathroom. Obviously, you gotta be, you have one central bathroom. I mean, I guess you got to do your business, but like light a candle or some shit. And then, yeah, general personal hygiene, just being a smelly person. If your area reeks, you're like dragging that shit into the rest of the house. So, if you have a roommate that's a bit smelly, like that's going to be a tricky one to address. And I think it's just kind of general cleanliness. Like you need to explain to people, like you can't leave dirty dishes out there. You can't leave your dirty clothes. Like, I don't know.
And it's hard to enforce.
Well, it's very hard to enforce, but you have to, you got to set some hard ground rules, and you can't let it slip for too long. If it's been happening for 3 or 4 months and then it's gotten the best of you and you want to say something, it's too late at that point. It's got, it has to happen pretty early on. But that's the other thing about being uptight is we should move from the smell. We should move on to guests, and I'll bring up what I'm going to say. Guests, somebody who has too many friends, or has parties, or has sexual partners or boyfriend or girlfriend. A lot of times you have that X factor third roommate who's not on the lease, who comes and visits a handful of the nights out of the week. And, obviously they're using resources. They're using soap. They're using toilet paper, maybe hanging out in the living room. You got to set ground rules for that stuff beforehand because, I don't think there's anything wrong with having someone's partner sleep over. But I do know a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm not allowed to have guests in this apartment. And that's a ground rule that you got to set right off the bat, because it's really not cool if you're living with somebody for 3 months and then you start dating someone and you want them to come over. What was the last thing you just said?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about guests and especially bringing shady people around, where me and my roommate have a policy where we basically, the first time somebody comes over, after they leave, the other roommate has veto power. So
ooh, I like that one.
So if my roommate brings somebody over and then after they leave, he's like, so what did you think? And I use it sparingly, but there's been a couple people he's brought over. I'm like, they can't ever come back here. And he's done the same to me.
There's some weird people. But we just got one comment saying, this is from M. What makes a better roommate, male or female? And I've had a combination of both. But that's a good question.
I think there's pros and, it's specific to each person, but if you wanted to generalize and be a little bit sexist here, I'd still say that there's kind of pros and cons to both.
It depends on, I don't think one sex has it over the other. I'm
not saying that one's better. I'm saying that there's pros and cons to both, and depending on how you weight certain factors, you might end up saying I want to have a male roommate or a female roommate. But to say that, I would say that each one of them are 50-50, but if you weigh certain factors more, then it might end up at 70-30 or 90-10.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the thing about setting ground rules is I don't think it's unreasonable to want to have some people over, especially if it's a 2-bedroom apartment. And also age has a lot to do with it, I think the ground rules is important because you should be able to have some people over on a weekend. Especially the more space you have, the more freedom I think you should have to have guests and things like that. But if you have a shared bedroom wall and the quarters are pretty tight, when you bring in guests, they are basically on top of that other person just as much.
Well,
So
it's just you need to make sure that your guests are being considered. I don't think it's reasonable for a roommate to tell the other roommate, nobody besides you can ever come over here.
well, then you get back to did you both sign the lease mutually? Is one person the leaseholder and you're renting from them? Is one person the owner and you're renting a room from them? Is it a room rental or a shared apartment? And these are things that, and I think really what we're going to come back to on a lot of this is it needs to be defined in advance. And obviously you don't want to sound like a crazy type A, but things do need to be spelled out. You may not feel the need to spell every little detail out to avoid appearing like a crazy person. And then you have to have the intuition to size up your potential roommates. But yeah, I think allowing guests is reasonable. But if it's a relationship and that person's staying there the third wheel person is staying there 5 nights out of the week, I would say 1-2 days max, because otherwise they're living there. What else are they doing? They're going to work during the day and they're sleeping at that apartment.
I would say 3.5 days, because let's say you're in a relationship and you live in separate apartments and you want to spend every night together. You could have an arrangement where it's 3 nights there and 4 nights back or whatever, and you alternate or whatever. I draw the line at half.
But if you're spending every night together, shouldn't you just move in with that other person?
Some people aren't ready to do that yet.
Well, they're spending every night together.
I draw the line at half.
That's a tough one. But again, predetermined, or also, if there is 3 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, maybe that person pays a little bit more.
Well, yeah, you can negotiate in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
But
I think also conversation can be fluid. It doesn't need to be fully predefined, in the contract in advance. But you have to have reasonable expectations. And that's the next one I have right here is money. And what do you say? Clean, considerate, and
compensation.
So
because I needed to get another C.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Late rent. That's not cool. Rent is like a number one thing. Like, you need.
That's ostensibly the reason why you have a roommate, is to defray cost.
Yeah.
So if they're not helping out with the rent, then why are you having a roommate?
Yeah, but
I'm paying for all this apartment. I don't want to share it with anybody.
Like, some of the stories that I got, somebody was saying how they had a roommate that was paying rent super late, but she was buying new clothes and always had her nails done. And that's like, that would make my head want to explode. Like, just watching somebody spend their money on other shit and be like, yo, you owe me $50. Yo, you owe me $1,400. Or, whatever it is. That would drive me nuts. So let's see, money. I skipped one here, actually. Also, utilities and split cost. So is one person always buying the toilet paper and the dish soap and paper towels? Or are you guys splitting that? Or is there a shared fund for those things? Who's paying the utilities? And when your utility bill goes from $75 a month to $150 a month, how are you guys dealing with that? Have you pre-agreed to just split it 50-50? Because then that blows for the person that leaves their AC unit on all day, every day through the summertime. And the reason we're doing this podcast, and some of this stuff may seem like duh, like just really dumb, or like over the top. it doesn't even need to be talked about, or it's something everybody knows. But I think you'd be surprised the shit that I hear as a real estate agent and complaints from people. And a lot of the stuff that was just shared to me over the last 24 hours when I asked for, bad roommate stuff and how to be a good roommate. But yeah, somebody who uses up all the toilet paper and never buys new toilet paper, that's like little shit, but it's infuriating, especially when you're pinching pennies. And you're probably not rolling in the dough if you do have roommates.
I would say it's infuriating anytime somebody uses the last of something and doesn't replace it.
Dude,
it doesn't matter what the quantity is, or what the item is.
Look, there are some days I feel that I need to bring a chainsaw to my office and just cut people like across the torso. And that goes to like people. Somebody used the last of the. Now I don't monitor this shit. Okay, I buy a bunch of reams of printer paper, and it sits there until somebody says, "Hey, I just opened the last box." But last month, I think we might have talked about this on air. Somebody had used a box.
Is this the empty box in the closet?
They had used a box and then put it on a top shelf. So I just assumed that box had fucking paper in it. Who stocks an empty box up on a shelf? So, and then of course, no one told me we were out of paper. And I was like, yeah, there was another box in there. I go to the box and we're out of paper. The box is empty. Using the last of something, infuriating.
I almost lost. Oh no, I did lose it on my roommate. I don't know. A month ago, I bought some hot dogs and I bought some hot dog buns. And conveniently, hot dogs tend to come in packs of 8, and hot dog buns also come in packs of 8. So I usually have either 2 or 3 hot dogs at a time. So I had like 3 and 3, and then I had 2. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make these last 2 hot dogs.
Let me ask you to pause. The only way I can see this going is that your roommate is a secret bun muncher, and he munches on buns.
It's just not so secret.
Okay, well, so sorry.
Yeah. So I go to make the hot dogs, put them in the pan, start frying them up, getting them warm and everything like that. I go to grab the rolls, 2 hot dogs in the pan, 1 roll. The fuck is this? What? I didn't eat this.
What did he eat a hot dog roll with? What did he eat a hot dog?
I don't even know. But dude, if you're getting anytime that you take the last of something, fucking replace it. I don't care if you eat my food from time to time, because we'll exchange, we'll catch each other up on that. But don't eat the last of something, especially when it's a specific quantity that's allocated to something else. So now I just got to eat one of these hot dogs all by itself with no bun. I already started cooking it.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's such a little trivial thing, but it's something that makes your brain want to.
The monetary value of that 1 hot dog bun was probably 30 cents. I don't care about the money. It's that I'm not going to the store to buy more hot dog buns. So I wanted to eat now, not in 20 minutes after I run to the store to buy 8 more buns. And then the next time I'm going to be short 1 bun the next time too.
Or you'll have it. Yeah, exactly. You're just kind of, or you're going to be short 7 hot dogs when you open that package.
Yeah, you name it.
But damn the secret bun munchers. But boundaries. So boundaries is a big one.
Oh yeah.
The number one is the eating of the roommate food. And again, that's something that needs to be predefined. Is there communal food?
Kind of touched on that already.
Yeah, but is there communal food? Is it there's a loaf of bread, everybody can have the loaf of bread. There's coffee, make the coffee, don't drink the whole pot. Or is it, this is my food, this is your food? The way that I've pretty much always had, I feel like I've had things offered to me, but for the most part, you really try to use your own stuff. I think you and I did a pretty good job at that.
We ate very different things too, though.
But exactly, and that helps a lot. Obviously, I didn't eat a lot of carbs at the time.
No, you had the dumbest diet ever.
You have a good story about this, though.
All I remember is that you had a George Foreman grill that
No, I forgot.
was just I feel like that was just constantly on in the apartment. I'm not sure if it ever actually cooled off. Maybe at night, but even then,
No,
you might wake up in the middle of the night.
I remember not thinking much when I said it, but you're making a big deal. I had come home and you must have been cooking the biggest feast. I don't know what you were baking, but it smelled so good in the apartment. And I came in and I said, James, this smells phenomenal. What are you cooking? You know what?
I was like, oh yeah, I'm making toast.
So I was severely carb depraved in those days. I also think that was probably about 50, 40, 50 pounds ago. But it is what it is.
I remember you were on like the ground beef patty and peanut butter diet for like 3 or 4 months when you first moved down here.
Oh, man.
But I think that like having some kind of a hybrid system of there's certain food that's mine that you don't touch, and then there's other kind of common goods that like we kind of just generally replace. So coffee is a good example. It doesn't really make sense to have 2 separate tubs of coffee that you both use. Like just have one tub, and then like it's my turn to replace it. Now it's your turn to replace it. It's the same thing that like we do with like laundry detergent here. Is like I'll buy a bottle of laundry detergent, and then when it runs out, he buys a bottle of laundry detergent. Repeat.
Yeah, it's fair, but again, I think predetermined is and pre-agreed upon is best.
Oh, of course.
So let's see, boundary, eating your food, no respect for closed door.
Ooh, yeah, my roommate's bad about that.
I close my door in the office, and I do so very infrequently. The only time I do is when I'm having a personal meeting with somebody, when I'm recording this podcast, when I'm on a live. I mean, all Zoom calls are live, but when I'm on a video call or something like that, I close the door. And you would be surprised. I would say if I'm at the office for 8 hours on a regular, on average, it's open more than 7.5 hours out of the week. I literally close it to record a couple of videos a couple times a day, or a couple of days out of the week. That's it. So when that door is closed, when people knock on it, that really bothers me. And at least like I'm sitting in front of a fucking computer. Send me a text message. Like that shit's gonna show up on the computer. But yeah, you were saying your roommate's bad at it. Does he knock or does he just open the door?
He generally knocks. Every once in a while, he'll just open the door. I'm like, dude, the door's closed for a reason. Like, and like, I'm just playing video games. It's not like I got anything to hide, but it's still, I have the door closed so that way I'm not bothered. If it's an emergency, you can knock or whatever. But yeah, like, thankfully my door's got a lock. So I've just kind of gotten into the habit of like, when I really don't want him barging in or whatever, I'm like, all right, we'll just click this lock.
Also, there's the dual masturbation factor. Like nobody wants to walk in on a masturbator. Nobody wants to be walked in masturbating. So
it's like everyone loses there.
It's a lose-lose, and it's definitely going to kill the vibe on both accounts. So really the general rule would be if there's a closed door, it's closed for a reason. Don't go in. Don't go in.
Yeah.
And in 2020, and as we are coming close to a new year, as 2021 approaches, just send a text. You don't need to knock. You don't need to knock. Especially like somebody's napping. Come on, people. Come on. You can do better than this. Boundaries, money, bathroom time. Bathroom time, I would say, is a big one, especially if your work schedules are similar and people need to shower in the morning or shower in the evening, whatever it might be. But if you only have one bathroom, unless you say, hey man, I want to take a bubble bath and soak and read some love fairy tales and light some candles, that's one thing. But if you're in there for more than 12 minutes, you probably pushing it. if the other person's waiting.
Because a lot of those tasks you can do outside the bathroom. So for me as a dude, I'll take a 5-minute shower and then I've got my clothes on. I don't need to worry about my hair. I'll put some I towel it off and I'm good. I get that chicks, if you've got long hair, it can take a while to dry or whatever. But what you can do is if you're sharing a bathroom, you finish up your shower, you put a towel on or whatever, and you go to your room and you blow dry your hair in the room to free up the bathroom for whoever else needs it.
Well, that's ladies. You can get ready for the most part in your room, because D-Ball just said was a female. I know D-Ball, slightly misleading name, one way or the other. 12 minutes to shower, and I assume she's lots of question marks, meaning that's too short of an amount of time.
No, 12 minutes is a pretty long shower.
But what you hit the Home Alone checklist. Like I washed behind my ears, I washed I washed down there. Yeah, I'm good. Like you rinse, you soap on, you rinse off, you hop out. Now, I every day shave my head. And I don't always shave my face, so I have that. I got that extra time. But I would say 12 minutes is pretty reasonable. 15 minutes on the long end. But if you're in there,
12 seems high to me. But I'd say 12. I'll agree with you that 12 is reasonable. But I think that you can be in and out of a shower in 12 minutes. Although probably some women would disagree with me if you have to shave your legs. I don't know.
But yeah, and you women aren't shaving your legs every day, for the most part. I know this. But we have our friend Adam, who takes, as a dude, hour-long showers. Hour-long showers. I don't know what people do in the bathroom, but I do know it's you undress. In this old house where I am now, you have to give it 4 minutes or so for that water to warm up. 3 minutes, the water to warm up. But you undress, you step in and rinse your body, you soap up. If you're a shampoo user, you put that in your hair. And
how long has it been?
And a long time. I used the shampoo as a body wash today, though. That was exhilarating. It was a Christmas gift. I got 2 Christmas gifts.
Someone got you shampoo as a Christmas gift?
Yeah, Andreas, who
what a dick.
on this podcast. It was a body wash set. It came with
I'm just thinking he
conditioner, body wash, and something else.
I'm just thinking somebody who buys you shampoo as a gift and just trying to be a dick.
Well, that was a general consensus at the holiday party. But yeah, I use the shampoo as a body wash. But either way, you go in, you rinse off, and most of you women, I know you don't wash your hair on a regular basis. And then you rinse off and you get out and you dry your body. And the majority of the rest of the stuff can be done in your bedroom. And that's just how it goes.
I'll give a benefit of the doubt for the shaving the legs thing. Because even washing your hair, even if you're a chick and you've got long hair or whatever, the actual rinsing and shampooing of your hair doesn't take that much time. Most of the time is getting the hair dry again, which you don't need to do in the bathroom.
Yes, I agree. I do shave my head a bit, and I think,
surface area of your head's a lot less than the surface area of legs. Also, much easier to navigate.
Well, yeah, but it's also round and not. I don't know. Either way,
Have you ever tried shaving your legs?
No.
Yeah, try it sometime and tell me how much time you clock in at.
Mine are probably hairier than most women's legs. Or if you're a regular leg shaver, they're probably much hairier than your legs are regularly. All right, we're gonna leave the boundaries, the bathroom time. Another one I got. Actually, these I like these. The last few. Rudeness. So somebody walking by you in the apartment on their way out, not saying goodbye, or walking in and you're sitting on the sofa in the living room and they don't say hi. That's just a little weird. It's a little rude, I think, because you do share the same space and you see each other every day. I think a polite hello and goodbye, I think, is pretty reasonable.
You don't have to be friends, but you should at least be friendly.
which leads me to the next one. The crazy roommate that's looking for a roommate because they want friends. I watched some of this like Home and Garden television or whatever, those channels back in the day. And there's a story about this guy who wanted to move to a new city and live with roommates. And the roommates would be a great way for him to break into making new friends into the city. And I'm thinking like, what?
Well, I can understand the logic there.
I do. But also like, these guys may not like you. Like you don't know, you're not getting to know them that well. You're just going to move in. Like maybe they just want somebody to give them money so they don't have to pay the full rent. Like they don't want to be your friend, dude. But like he was moving to a new country and was making enough money to rent his own apartment, just chose to go with roommates because he needed friends. I get it, but I think being that dependent on roommates for friends.
Yeah, I would say it's a tool you can use, but not one that you should rely on.
It's definitely not one you should rely on, but somebody who just expects that you're living together, you're going to be best friends, you're going to be cooking dinner together every night, you're going to be hanging out. Like that's, that's a bit much.
I'll actually get that from my roommate from time to time, who is a friend. But there will be times you're like, we haven't had a roommate day together. I'm like, dude, I got other things to do. Like, we're not dating, and we never will be.
Oh boy!
Like, I just want to have a roommate night. I'm like, I don't. But we're having a roommate night right now. You're out there. I'm in here. I'm happy.
That's a roommate night.
Yeah.
I got another one for you. The regular key loser.
Oh, that's just irresponsible, man. Because now that key's out there somewhere.
Well, the cool thing about keys, and I have an office with hundreds, maybe, probably over 1,000. I don't know. Lots of keys. A lost key is meaningless unless it's tied to an address. Now, a lot of our keys are tied to have an address on the keychain. However, when I see a random key sitting in the office, I get really upset and say, "Whose key is this?" And usually people don't know. And I just usually end up shouting, "Throw it in the garbage! Throw it in the garbage!" Like, yeah, but somebody paid for that. I'm like, but they're not going to be able to tell me what the fuck it goes for because it's sitting in a pile of keys. And to me, it's just wasted money. So when I see a key, not only is it a lost cause, to me, it is also wasted money. But yes, losing keys, major irresponsibility, less of a danger threat, but it still is. I'm not saying it's not. It still is. Somebody may know who that key belongs to and decide to rob you.
Yep.
Let's see. Key loser. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one for next. The favor needer. Hey, I know you're home. Could you just do this for me? Hey, I know you're home. Could you just check? Hey, I know you're home. Could you just switch my laundry for me?
Let me give you one. This is from this week. So, my roommate is in Miami right now. He left 3 or 4 days ago, and
that's funny because you've been talking about him a lot. And I'm like, man, you guys must have a really good relationship that he can just be on the other side of the door.
Nope.
And you can speak.
Unless he's listening to us live or chooses to listen to this YouTube video. But he also knows all these criticisms anyway.
Well,
but whatever the case is, there was something in his bathroom that needed maintenance. We needed to have like the property maintenance come in and fix something. All right, no big deal. He shoots me a text and says, "Hey, can you call the office to put in the maintenance request for my bathroom?" And I'd send him a text back and say, "You might not believe this, but you can actually call them too. Your phone works."
You are the main leaseholder, though, so I'm going to give him the benefit.
He's on the lease.
Okay, well, all right, fair enough. Yeah, that was.
You're not going to believe this.
But I'm not home. I can't do it. You're gonna have to do this.
Yeah, why am I the one using my cell phone to call for your problem when your phone works? Obviously, it does because you just sent me a text.
Well, unless this was 12 years ago, he could have said, "I don't have the minutes."
Yeah, he doesn't have that excuse either.
All right, what's up, Ashley? Let's see who else we have here. Hans Von, Craig. Hey, Craig. All right, and then here's the last one I got. And if I'm missing anything, guys, let me know. I'm gonna give you the last one. before I do that though, I wanted to include this because I got an email today and I checked the portfolio and it was looking really good. And what turned me on to this was signing up and getting 2 free stocks. A friend of mine sent me this. I got 2 free stocks to sign up for Weeble. There goes the clock. Must be time.
9:25.
Yeah, the clock is way off. So Weeble is free sign up, and once you get fully enrolled, you get 2 free stocks. I have a link to it to make sure you get the stocks in my Instagram profile. It's the only link there, so check it out. But Weeble, I just checked my portfolio today. I did very little more than just sign up, complete the enrollment requirements, and I got the free stock. So that was cool as shit. And there's other trading platforms, but in terms of just getting signed up and getting free stock, it can't hurt. It's the holidays. If you got a couple of extra bucks, why not give it a shot? And the market's pretty volatile, so there's some good wins to be had out there in the short term. And signing up and getting free stock, you can't beat that. All right, I'm going to give you my last one. We had key loser, favor needer, the management complainer. Have you ever had a management complainer?
No, thankfully.
Now, I, being on the real estate agent end of this, I witness a lot of people who are over complainers to management. I found a mouse in my apartment. There's bugs in my apartment, which I get. And those are serious things. A light bulb's out. The smoke detector is beeping. There's noise. It's too loud in my apartment because I can hear noise in the street.
How in the world is that the landlord's fault?
There's people expect the craziest shit. And the reason I brought bugs or mouse or something first is because it's usually because those people are really messy. Like mice and bugs don't stick around in your apartment if you're very, very clean. And I get it. Like maybe,
Now in South Carolina, it's a little bit harder with like the roaches and stuff because they're just everywhere. So the roaches are outside. It's very easy for them to get inside. They can just squeeze under the door or whatever.
But we saw them time to time, but they didn't stick around because
I see a roach in this apartment maybe once every 6 to 12 weeks.
And by roach you mean palmetto bug, which is a cockroach. It's a very big one, and it's a very big thing in the South.
It's rare that they make it in here and they don't last.
No.
Now, part of that's like the apartment complex pays for pest control that comes in like once a month and sprays. But
that's the other thing. If you have bugs and you seal things up and you have traps and pest control things in place, you can get those little traps at Home Depot or at Walmart or Target. You're not going to have that issue. But be a clean person. But yeah, a lot of the complaining about noise, about neighbor noise. My apartment in Manhattan shared a wall with a studio, and that person complained a lot about me. And I was there, I think, for 6 years, and had a myriad of other tenants living in that studio next to me, and no one else complained. And very little changed on my end. So it's just, the thing is, like, you got to understand that, like, also as a renter, that you don't own the place, but like certain things you can do on your own, like change light bulbs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's an apartment. Like, your neighbors are 4 to 6 inches away on the other side of that drywall. And so, all right, guys, I'm going to hit some quick stories. If anybody wants to add anything who's watching live, let me know. If you're watching this post,
while you're hitting some user stories, let me refill my drink real quick.
All right, good idea. All right, guys, I'm going to hit the comments. Let me know if you're watching us live, any crazy roommate stories you have, or your biggest roommate complaints. I'm gonna just scroll through some comments real quick, see what I got. Roommates. What's up, Phil? Xavier. All right. Male or female, which makes better? This is a living with a teenager problem. Lots of comments actually, like about does living with a husband or just living with kids, does that count as roommates? I would say so. Let's see. Should have got my headphones, AirPods. My roommates are my kids, no problems. That's surprising. And a lot of people I'm finding out don't have roommates and have never had roommates. Now, probably much more common to the more urban areas, especially like New York City. But I believe that a lot of people may not have had roommates in the past. Let's see what else we have here. That's their responsibility, not the landlord's. Sometimes neighbors are not that clean, and when you get roaches, they're coming from the neighbors. Yeah, that's definitely true. Roaches coming from the neighbors, definite plausible thing. But still, they're not sticking around your apartment. They're going to pass through. Maybe, you might find one in the bathroom because there's it's a little bit cooler, but they're not sticking around if there's no food and there's nothing for them to eat. So.
Yeah, my theory is that like anytime that they come in here, it's they're coming through the vents from somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's see. One of the notes I had: establish a toilet paper soap buyer person. I'll share one personal story and then hit some others. I didn't put a lot of thought into some personal roommates that I've had in the past, but I did have one roommate who turned out to be really crazy. I had a guy, he was a nice guy, not the crazy one. We rented, no, wrong order. I had a girl that I think we connected on Craigslist or something like this, and probably 2011. And I did the searching. She was not in the city. I did the searching, found the place.
Was this in Astoria?
This is in Astoria. And we moved in together. I got the place ready. She showed up, moved in. Very nice girl, friendly girl. And pretty healthy person. Very messy. Like, would cook with 4 or 5 pots and pans and just leave them out. Not close cabinet doors in the kitchen. Jam-packed the refrigerator with all this pre-cooked food. But what really got me was one time she made like 85 individual cakes.
That's
and
a lot.
Like, yeah, she made all these cakes. She froze them. She stocked the refrigerator with them. And she's like, hey, I just made like 85 cakes. Feel free to try them. Let me know what you think. I have so many. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to eat them all. Go ahead and have some.
Now there's no room in the fridge for you?
Well, yeah, but I was very broke at this point in time. I would eat like pasta, and that's it. And I didn't do any crossover food. I think we had one bathroom, but for the most part, there was ample toilet paper and things like that. I really didn't use any resources. I very much kept to myself. But I did eat one of those cakes. And the next day, she had this total bug out freak out. And she's like, you were eating my food. Why were you eating my food without asking me first? I was like, oh, I thought it was
You told me to.
I thought it was like an open, like you can eat it anytime. Like you basically invited me to have it. It got really weird. She got very weird. I think she ended up losing her job. Started making all of her own clothes. And then I basically, towards the end, for like 3 weeks or so, if I'm remembering this correctly, didn't leave her room, and I never saw her. And this is somebody who wasn't working, staying at home, not leaving the apartment, and I didn't see her even like going to the bathroom or anything. For all I knew, she could have been peeing in milk jugs and dumping them out the window or saving them. I don't know. But that was definitely
a major freak out. And she was just like a messy ass roommate. Like, just like the cooking situation was like, you can't leave like pans soaking, for like a week on the counter. Like
Overnight works well enough.
overnight, or like, a few hours, or
Right.
like morning to evening.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Within a 24-hour period.
but yeah, that cake situation was one that like really shook me. All right, so yeah, somebody else added was paying always late on rent, but always had brand new clothes and new nails. Another one from Tim, roommate stealing from his bar. He said he used to keep a very well stocked bar. Not a big drinker himself, but always stocked bottles, for having friends over. And
Yeah, always a good idea.
And the person was stealing from he discovered, again, he wasn't a big drinker, discovered a pint glass of like whiskey or scotch or something. It was like, okay. And then looked at the whiskey or scotch bottle and it was full. It was at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And what the guy was doing is he was emptying the bottles out and refilling them with like water and food coloring. Which did we ever do that as kids?
No. We didn't hide the drinking that we did.
No, I didn't think we did either. So roommate stealing from the bar, refilling with water and food coloring. A dorm mate who was a big procrastinator and would take that last night to do projects and stay up all night long, smoking and playing music with the lights on.
That's why there's a college computer lab that's open 24 hours a day that you can go do your work at.
Yeah, but you can't smoke and play music. So.
True.
You're supposed to smoke at all, but that's tough because obviously you're keeping up the other roommate who's like 6 feet behind you. Dorms are tough. We didn't get too much into dorms. I had one comment about somebody having from Lil saying that she had like 10 roommates. I didn't know if that was in a house or
that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know exactly that. I went to a party a while back where it was like a 5 or 6 bedroom apartment, and I could see how that could be fun for like 3 weeks. Like 3 weeks of like some good parties, and then by like the 8th time that you wake up and like walk out to the bathroom and there's like puke next to the toilet, you're just like,
or you're third in line for the bathroom.
I could be mistaken, but I think there was only one bathroom in that apartment.
That's tough.
Yeah, this is a party I was brought to by a friend, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm a little older than most of the people here, and but I don't know, the people were nice. It was just a lot of people crammed in this apartment. Nice building though. And then let's see. I got one last story here, or tip really, about so here's, and we didn't talk about this earlier, is using the other bedroom when that roommate's not home as a guest room.
Oh, that's not cool at all. That's not your space.
It's not your space. But somehow people are like find it reasonable to do that. At what point are you like, yeah, you can sleep in that room. That's fine.
The only time it's reasonable to do that is if you ask.
If you ask, that is reasonable. But what? How could you do that without asking? That's just wild to me. It's really strange. All right. I'm running low on content here. Anything else you can think of in terms of being a good
No.
No.
We'll shift gears real quick since it's coming up. What are you doing for New Year's?
Oh, the New Year's plans are, I'm not entirely sure yet. I think we got a little party, before people light me up on the coronavirus task force. I won't go too into it, but I think it's just a little party and ringing the new year. Obviously 6 feet separation with masks and gloves on. But I don't think if you're going there, I don't think being live is a great idea.
That's I already assumed we weren't going to be doing it for the same reason we didn't do our Christmas Eve one.
All right. But anything else on roommates?
No, not really. I think we nailed it on. We covered everything.
All right, cool. James, stay on the line. So don't hang up. I'm going to wrap up on the Sip Talk. Thank you guys for joining us. This has been episode, what did we decide?
64.
64, Living with Roommates. Before we go live, I'd love to see your guys' comments. So I can, not before we go live, before we
reconvene in a week.
Before we publish this one, I'd love to include some things in the notes, some horror stories, because I was getting a kick out of some of the messages people were sending me, some of the comments I got about some of your horror stories living with roommates. But I think we kind of shared as much of the bad shit that can happen as a bit of a warning. And really, the idea is to have as many ground rules as are reasonable and be outspoken. Don't
communicate often.
Yeah, just the communication is big, and don't wait too long. Don't wait until some shit is driving you absolutely fucking insane to say something, because then it's too late, because then they've been doing it for that long, and they think,
and also they're going to be like, if you had just told me earlier, then it wouldn't have gotten to this point. That it's easy to correct a behavior the first time that it happens. Yeah. But it's like when I was working in hotels, if we had a guest stay with us for 5 days, and when they checked out, we asked them how it was, and they come with a whole bunch of complaints. And I just be like, if you had told us about this on the first night that you checked in, we could have fixed it. But now you're leaving, so we can't help you. And
Exactly.
you had a shitty stay, but every single thing that you didn't like, we could have fixed if you had just told us.
And probably would have been glad to be avoiding this situation right now.
Oh yeah, we would have been happy to fix them. That's what we're there to do. That's what we're employed as, is people to help the guests have a good time. So of course we're going to do what you need, what'll make your stay more comfortable. But we are not psychics.
So speak up, speak up, speak up. All right, I'm going to end this. James, stay on the line. I'm going to close out these lives. How can adults do crazy things when you're a roommate? Goodbye. Adios. Adios. Adios.
Yeah, this is for me in the outro. I wanted again to say thank you very much. Our first full year in production means a lot to me that you made it this far. You're still following us. You're still subscribed. And again, we want to hear your topic suggestions. We want to hear your questions. We'll probably change up the format a little bit moving into 2021, but we want to know what works for you. So thank you again. Like, subscribe, and help us out. See you next year.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.